Good morning, team. Today I would like to walk you through how to create Informatica repository services and integration services. This is one-time job and it's a admin task, but still it's okay. As a developer, we should know how to create it and what are the parameters it will look for. So let's see how to create the repository services and integration services. Then I will show you how to integrate these repository service and integration service with the client tools so that we will establish a communication between client and server. That's our main aim. Once that is done, I will show you how the designer work and where we write the logic and how to import the table, source, target, all those kind of things. Okay. So here is the presentation or documentation which helps us to understand how to create the repository and integration services. So I will put this in a Google Drive so that you will get the chance to review it. So and I will directly walk you through how to create it in the system. Please let me know if you have any doubt at any point of time. So all my connections got disconnected. So I will close all of them. The first thing we need to do is we need to check whether Informatica is running or not. So let me just refresh it. So it got stopped for some reason because I just suspended this VM after ending our yesterday's class. So I'm restarting it. Usually this don't happen in the real time because all the Informatica servers will be installed on Linux machines or Unix machines. So you don't see this kind of issue. So I just started the Informatica server. Let's give just 1 or 2 minutes so that it starts perfectly. Even though it shows in the UI started, it will be still starting in the background. Okay, and meanwhile, let's review the architecture of Informatica once because you will understand why we need to create the database user. So the first step before setting up your Informatica integration and repository services, we need to create a separate DB user or a separate schema. Okay, I will show you why. So here is our Informatica architecture. Here we say that in the domain you will see integration service as well as repository service, and the repository service will be keep on interacting with the repository. This repository is nothing but a database user or a database schema. Okay, repository will be keep on communicating with the repository services. Then a link will be there between integration services and repository services. So in my system I already have two integration services and two repository services. So if you want to maintain one more, or if you want to create one more repository and integration services, you need to have a separate database repository, which means a separate database user or schema, whatever we call it. So first I will create a DB user so that my database user will be ready. Then while creating repository services, I will refer this database user to access it so that all the metadata of this new repository services will be deployed in that new schema. That's the aim. Okay, so let me first create the database user. So I just logged in as sysdba. Here is the command SQL plus login as your sysdba, so that you can create users. If you log in as normal user, you can't create another user. Okay, then here are the commands to create a user. So I will say create user, maybe test1 or class identified by class. It will create a user. So user is created. Okay, one second, guys. Guys, do you have any questions? I heard some sound. Okay. Can we create through admin console? No. Through admin console, we can't create DB user. We have to log in as sysadmin or system user, then create the user. It's the standard process wherever we go, whether it's Informatica or whatever tool it is. We have to first log in as database sysadmin user and create the other users. Okay, then once the user is created, we have to give some grants, that is connect, resource, create view, or else you can give grant all to that user. That is also absolutely fine, but I am giving as minimum as possible. So it grants all these accesses to the class. So that's all. Once that is done, my user is created. Okay, so one step I am done. Now let's see. Okay, the Informatica is already started, so let me open the Informatica administrator console. Okay, I will go to programs, Informatica server, then start Informatica administrator homepage, or else you can type the URL always. So it's host name, the machine name, colon, port number 8443 / administrator. That's the standard one. So my username is administrator and password is admin. Login. So let's review the architecture once again. So my repository is ready. Then first I need to create repository service. Then link this repository service with the integration service. While creating repository service, we link the repository service with the repository. Okay, that's the way how we create these two services. So if you see, I already have it two repository services. One is InfoRepo, another one is test. Okay, and two integration services. One is info integration services and test underscore is. So the standards are something like this. For repository, we name it as underscore repo or repository. Then for integration services, it's is. Or else you can put absolutely whatever the name you want, but make sure that you add these keywords integration and repo, so that people can easily understand, or else by looking at the symbols also you can recognize it, but you make sure that the other people also feel comfortable when with the naming conventions. So I will just walk you through the properties of the existing repository services, so that while creating you will see all these properties are being asked for us. So general properties, you need to enter the repository name. So name, then license key, then what is the node. So while installing the Informatica, we create domain and node. That's the default. So as and when we are done with the installation of Informatica, you will see domain created as well as one node created. See, this is the license, this is the node. So all these four, remaining all these four, we have created it. Okay. So as a default, we get domain and node along with the license key. So that's the node. Then operating mode, as and when we create new repository services, the operating mode will be exclusive. Okay, exclusive. It means the other people can't access these repository services, which is not useful. So we make this as a normal mode. Okay, when we are going to take the backup and put it in the next instances, that time we will initially put the exclusive mode. Then once the code move or code merge is done, we will make that as a normal and we will restart the repository services. Anyway, that we will cover it later. Once we are done with the coding and all, I will show you the other part of administration, like how to take the backup of your repository and code, then how to migrate to the new instances. Let's say after we develop the logic in my instance, I will try to take that as a backup and provide it to you so that you put that code into your laptop and start accessing the code. That's how I will show you how to migrate the code between one instance to another instance. Instance means like development environment to QA, or probably QA to production, whatever it may be. That's the importance of this operating mode. Then code page. So which type of code you want to access it, or which type of data you want to work on, that shows this. So it's going to be UTF-8 encoding of Unicode. So it's default for Windows. So I will just note that into the notepad. Okay. Then we have to provide the database details. So we have just now created the database name as class, the password, so that we need to provide it. So remaining are default database connection timeout. So once you don't start accessing the database more than 3 minutes, it will get timed out. So those kind of things will be there as a default. If you want, you can change it later. Log level info. Okay, it's a default log level. You can change that to verbose. So verbose is very detailed log level, and if you make that as verbose, so Informatica start writing huge logs, which means it's going to kill your performance. Okay, so we will put the minimum log as info. The same way the other parameters, so all of them are default, just leave it. So this is all about a administrator task, but that's okay, we are still learning it. Then here you see process page. Okay, then connections and logs. Once we are done with this, we get all these tabs. Okay, so now I will go and start the creation of new repository service. You click on the domain. Here is the domain. Under the domain, we are going to create the repository service. So say new Power Center repository service. Domain new Power Center repository service. Click on this. So it will start asking you the name of your repository services. Okay. Then I will say class underscore, or else I will maintain the unique class underscore repo. Okay. If you want, you can give some description. Okay. Then the location of domain, it takes the location. So here, if you want to create a new folder under domain and under that you want to keep your repository services, you can still do that. You can say just browse and you can create a folder, but I don't like that. So whenever I log in, I would like to see all of my integration and repository services. Okay, in any project you don't see more or many integration and repository services, just couple of them you will see. So which is okay to list out all of them here instead of putting it into the folder. Then just license key, as we have already provided the license key while installation, it will show it as default. Okay, then node, you select the node. Okay, then say next. So it will ask for the database type. So which means, see, specify the database properties for this new Power Center repository services. You have to provide the database user where you have created it. So here I say my database is Oracle. If your database is MS SQL or Sybase DB2, you choose those things. So Oracle, then username is class, password is class, then connectivity string, it's ORCL, or we call it as a database name. My database name is default database name ORCL. Okay, then here it will ask for the code page. So we have already noted down the code page. The code page is UTF encoding of Unicode. So here it is. Okay, then that's it. So you just choose this. No content exists under specific connection string. Create new content, which means we have created the database username, but it doesn't have any table information of Informatica. See, we already discussed about Informatica always maintains metadata. Metadata means data about the data. It maintains the metadata in the form of tables. So along with these repository services, if you choose no connection exists under specified connection string, create new content, it means it go to the user called class. Okay, then it will start creating the Informatica default table names, and it starts inserting the default rows. So that is called metadata of Informatica. That we have to create it. So I am choosing this option. So we don't need the version control, okay, for our classes. So just say finish. It just take 1 or 2 minutes to create it. So my repository service has been created, and look at this. Once we create this, it will say operating mode as exclusive. Okay, if you forget to change this to normal, then you cannot add this repository services to your client. So just remember that most of the times people do this mistake. So I'm going to change this to normal mode. Say okay. Restart. It will ask you to restart your Power Center repository services. Say okay. It will start restarting it. Team, once again remember that these tasks are not related to any developer. It's going to be admin tasks. Let's say if the team doesn't have any administrator, then maybe one of the team members like senior resource may create all these things. Maybe your team lead or project manager kind of guys. So you may not get the chance to access the admin page and admin console. So but still, if you would like to do all of these in your machine or in your laptop for the practice purpose, it's okay. So it started and it is available. See, if you want to disable, you can do the disabling of this repository services. It is available for next usage. So we have created the class repository. Then next step is we have to create the integration services. Okay, once again click on domain, or else let's see the existing one. Go to info integration services. Let's see the properties. So the name, then license node. So here you need to specify data movement mode. So we will always go ahead with the Unicode, because the data which you store in the database most of the time is going to be Unicode data. So log level, all these default properties. Okay. excuse me guys. So here we have to specify the newly created repository service name. Okay, so we have created class underscore repo. 1 minute guys, sorry for the disturbance. We have to provide the repository service name. Then it will ask you to create a new user. Okay, a new user, administrator user, so that when you add this repository and repository to the client, so we will log in with this username. Okay, later we can create multiple users in Informatica. You can create different users and different roles for the development purpose. One can be administrator, other can be normal user. Okay, like that. If you want to create different users, you first set up your administrator here. Then when you go ahead and create the users in the client, it will be useful. So I will go ahead and create the integration service now. So click on actions, new Power Center integration service. Click on that. So name, I will say class underscore integration service is. Okay, license location is default domain. Then license node, it will show you all of them as a default. You don't need to type anything. Say next. So here you need to specify your repository service, which is class underscore repository. Then here you create a administrator user administrator. Password I am giving it as admin. So here it's very important. It's a Unicode. Okay, if you remember, while creating we chose Unicode. So if you give ANSI as or ASCII now, it's not going to start the services. That's a problem. So you need to be careful. So just go ahead with the Unicode. Finish. Code page is going to be MS Windows Latin 1. See, it's a default for Windows. So I will say just OK. So now your integration services also started. So it says Power Center integration service is disabled. Okay, now you go ahead and enable it. Just say enable. It's going to enable the integration services. Then only this will be useful for the next steps. So the Power Center integration service is available. So which means whatever the repository service we have created is available for usage, then integration service is also useful for the next steps. So with this we are done how to create integration service and how to create your repository service. This is the first step when you start any project. The first thing is you install the Informatica on Linux or Windows. Then next step is you set up your repository service and integration service by logging into the admin console. These are the first steps and these are the admin related tasks. So then if you want to configure these integration as well as your repository services in your client, the information what you need is your host name, that is nothing but these tech classes, then port numbers, then what is your repository name, that is class underscore repo, what is your integration service name, that is class underscore integration service. These are the things you always get it from your admin when you join in any real-time project. So far whatever you have learned, that's the additional thing. So that's good. Team, I will pause here for a minute. If you have any questions, let me know. I think someone has pinged. If my source has hexadata, special character data, which is encoded, how do I handle it while using transformation? Srinivas, we will see. We will see that. We have already specified Unicode, so you don't need to do any specific things. So it will be taken care. Don't worry. So to create the DB user, we just need two commands. One is create user command, then another one is a grant a resource create view to the class or to the new user. Before that, you need to connect to your database either system user, I am typing here system user, or sysdba. Okay, these are the power users of your database, Oracle database. Okay, power users of your Oracle database. You connect to the database by using system or sysdba, then you execute these two commands. Okay, so first one is create user. So here I will change the username, maybe class 2 or class 1. Okay, identified by is nothing but your password, class 1. I hope you people are familiar with Scott Tiger. Okay, Scott is your username, Tiger is your password. So the way how they have created Scott user is create user Scott identified by Tiger. That's the way how they have created. Okay, once that is done, I will give the grant or access to the class 1. So grants can be done by using system and sysdba only. If it is normal user, you cannot do it. If you log in as Scott Tiger to the database, you cannot run these two commands, because these two commands needs to be executed by using your higher user or power user only. So I will copy this command, create user username identified by password, paste it here, say enter, user is created, then give the grant. Okay, grant successful. Now let me show you the difference between class and class 1. So class 1 is just empty user which just now we have created, but if you remember class, the last user which we created, we use that class while creating repository services. So Informatica is going to dump um, few tables, not few tables, it's around more than 50 tables to maintain Informatica metadata. Let me show you some tables. Okay, in class you will see tables. In class 1 you don't see any tables because it's empty, it's not being used anywhere. So if you want to access DB, I always prefer SQL developer, or else if you have a license for the Toad, you can use Toad also. This SQL developer is a free tool from Oracle Corporation. Okay, no doubts. So good. Go to file, new, say database connection. So here you specify your connection name. My connection is class, username is class, password is class, save password. Where is your host? It's a local host. What is your service name? My service name is ORCL. Okay, test the connection. It's successful. Then save it, connect. Okay, now I'm connected to class. So how to see the tables available in the class user? So you can either browse something like this, click on tables, see this lot of tables, OPB. So all these tables which starts with OPB are from Informatica. So whenever you create your new repository service, it creates all these tables. It will have couple of tables will have some default rows that we will learn by end of our class. I will show you definitely. So if you want to make any reports on Informatica itself, let's say how many number of mappings you have or how many different kind of sources you have, you can make it, or you can query these tables and get that information. So some people do metadata reporting on Informatica also, so that we will see later. See, I think now you understood why we need a different database user. Let's say for my one of previous repository services, I already have a user called Infa961 user. The reason why I haven't used this Infa961 for the class repository is, if you use same user, it's going to dump these tables once again. Okay, so there will be a clash between this Infa961 metadata and class repository metadata. That's the reason Informatica maintain a clean way of maintaining your metadata services. So they will ask you to create one more user for your new repository services. So which means if you want to maintain 5 different repository services and 5 different integration services, you obviously need 5 different database users. That's how Informatica cleanly maintain it. Okay. Then let me connect to the class one, which is just empty user, class one, class one. See, using or doing reporting on repository name, Informatica repository schema is strictly not allowed. Informatica always say that please don't mess up with your repository schema. If you go ahead and do some mistake, or if you go ahead and do delete some table or data, then you cannot properly start your Informatica services. So you will lose all your code. So Informatica is not going to help you to recover your services. So it's strictly not allowed. That's the reason admin only maintain these database user credentials. Because as a developer, you don't need to know where your which is your repository database username and password. So you don't need to access it. So it's strictly confidential. So you don't need to know. I will say my service name is ORCL. So test, save, connect. So class one is connected. So either you can browse the tables from here. See, there are no tables because it's just empty user. If you want to know the table names by writing any query, just do select star from tab. It will start list out all the tables. Okay. So these are the tables. This is how we create the new user. Srinivas, you understood, right? Srinu, okay. The new tables created are username or without any username. Srinu, the new tables created are username or without any username. The new tables are created under a user called class only. We have created first class user, then we use that class user or schema while creating the repository services. So Informatica has created all of these users. So I hope you got the answer, right? Okay, that's good. So now we are done with the integration and repository services. Those needs to be used in the client tools. If you want to access your Informatica server from client, you need to link these two entities. One is your Informatica server, another one is your client. You need to establish a relationship between these two. So let me show you how we do that. So for that, Informatica has given a client called repository Power Center client. So here is this Power Center repository manager. So by using Power Center repository manager, you have to connect your client to the server. Please remember guys, this is the first step you do in your company or in your real-time project. Once you join as an Informatica developer or tester also fine. Okay, once you join in company, your team lead or your Informatica administrator will provide you what is the host or the host where the Informatica servers are running, then port number of that machine, then repository service name, then domain name, then integration service name and node name. All these are going to be provided to you. So by using that, we will connect your client to the server. Okay. So open your repository manager. So here I have already configured two things. One is test and info repo, which are created in which are created already. So now we will create a new connection between your repository manager and server. So for that, you just need to click on repository, add repository. Okay, add repository. So click on that, add repository. Then it will ask you the repository name. Okay, that is class, the username administrator. So this you have to do it, guys. No one is going to help you. Okay, this you have to do it on yourself when you join any project, Informatica project. So say okay. So which is created as test. Okay, sorry, class. So just double click on that. Then here you have to choose your domain. So your domain is domain underscore tech classes. So that domain information here you will see domain, or else your team members will provide you the domain name. Okay, which is absolutely fine. Then enter the admin password. It's admin. Okay, connect. So it's failing. Domain related error, cannot find the service class in domain. Yeah, the Power Center repository service is available. Happy birthday. Then your integration service also running. Class integration service, both are running. Let me see why it's not allowing you to connect. Guys, for now, okay, let me delete this test and show you how to configure this test. I will debug it, why the class is not getting connected. So just go ahead and add new repository, test, administrator, okay, then connect, provide the domain name, then password. So which is absolutely connecting. Let me see why this class is not able to connect. Sorry guys, I have given the wrong name. The repository name is class underscore repo. I just given class, that's the reason it's not able to connect it. Okay, it's class underscore repo, class underscore repo, then username is administrator, say okay. Sorry for that, I was still in the mood of database user. Then connect it, the password is admin, then choose your domain, which is domain, then say connect. Okay, see this, it has connected to the repository service of class underscore repo. Then once you are connected to the repository, the first thing you need to do is you have to create your own folder for your development purpose. The first step is configure your repository. The second step is you try to create your own folder. Okay, so create. My folder name is learn underscore Informatica. So this is my folder name. So tab next. See, for some reason I am not able to minimize this in the VM, so I am using tab just to see here. If you see, you have OK, cancel, all those kind of thing. So right now I'm here. Okay, it's selected. Say OK. The folder has been successfully created. Once this is done, you have to go to your designer. The first thing when you start your Informatica project or when you start your Informatica life, you have to do is you configure your repository services. Once that is done, you go to designer. This is the place where you do all your magic, all your coding. Okay. See, now you are able to see all these test and class. If you don't create this class repository in the repository manager, here in the repository manager, you don't see this class underscore repo. If you want, I can just redo it. Let me close this. Let me remove this, disconnect, then delete. Okay, now you do not have class underscore repo. Okay, if you try to go to designer, it won't show you that. See, it has only test and info repo. Those are previously created repository services. So you don't have your own repository which is integrated between the clients. So first you have to come and create your repository here, then go to designer. There it will be visible automatically. So I will show you once again. Repository, add repository. So repository name is class underscore repo, administrator, then say OK, then try to connect it. Connect. So choose your domain and then give the admin password, then connect. Now you are able to connect to the repository. So you have already previously created your folder. That's the reason the metadata is still being maintained. Where this metadata will go and lie is this one. You have already created class, right? So you have already have the tables, multiples of tables. So whatever you create, let's say just now we have created a repository name, then folder name, all of them, those information will be visible in these tables. So that I will show you by end of the class. I mean not end of the class, end of the course I will show you how to query these tables. Usually you don't need to do querying of these tables and all, but in case as an advanced developer, if you want to do any reporting on the metadata tables, it requires you to know what are the minimum important tables. That anyway I will show you. So once this is configured, now you open your designer. That will be visible here, class underscore repo. So if you remember, we just created learn underscore Informatica folder only, but how come all these other folders have come into picture? Which means Informatica creates all these underlying subfolders when you create a main folder in the repository. This is the Informatica job. It will create all the source folder, target folder, dimensions, maplets, mappings, everything. So this is the default set. This is the default setup. You cannot do anything about it. So the reason why you get all these default setup is, let's say if you want to import your source and do some transformations, so you maintain those source tables in the source folders. See, instead of you creating or instead of you maintaining the project tables in a proper way, Informatica has already given a template. This is the predefined template. They have already given the predefined template, which means you want to import any sources, you come to the source folder and import. If you want to import any target tables or define any target tables, you do this in the target. Then if you want to write any logics, that's nothing but your mapping. So you come to the mapping and write your logics, then link the source and target, then save it. That's how Informatica has given the table structure as a default. So you don't need to worry about this. You don't need to create any of this. What and all you need to do is you try to add your repository, then folder. And let me tell you very frankly, this folder name also is going to be defined by your administrator. So which means when you come to the project, when you open this repository manager, you just need to add this class underscore repo only repository to your repository manager. Once you add it, so you will see all these folders which are given to you. Let's say they might have created multiple folders in the same repository, maybe 10, learn info 1, info 2, like that. And in learn info is allocated to Srinivas, learn info 1 is allocated to Sheshu, kind of uh, architecture. They our architecture are privileges, they design it. Once you add it, whatever you see or whatever is visible to you, that is nothing but you have the access to that. That's all. Class, I will stop here. I will pause here for a minute. The second step as a developer is you open your developer and start your development work. So you have your sources and you have your target folder. So import your sources and target, then do the logic defining. So today I will just show you how to connect to the database. See, let's assume that you have a database, you have database users, created source and target, the way how we have created class. So here it is SDBU and TDBU, a source database user and target database user. Okay. So here I have some predefined set of tables. So you can do this practice on your SCART schema also, or else as when you install your Oracle database, you will get a couple of schemas like HR, SS schema, sales history schema, those kind of schemas. In those also you will have the predefined tables. You can use those. So for now, let's use this, and in next class we'll decide how to create the tables, all those kind of things on our own. Today I would like to just show you how to connect the database by using Informatica, or how to establish a relationship between your Informatica client and your database. So these are my source and target schemas. You have some couple of tables here, like EMP tables, you know, EMP, all this product. You can create your own table and put the data in source, and then do the mappings and try to load into the target. Target also has tables, that is nothing but EMP, all these kind of dimensions and all. So for now, just I will try to import one table from source, so that you will understand how to connect to the database by using your Informatica client. So you have source, right? So go to sources. Here is your tab sources, import from database. So you can connect to the database or flat file also. We'll see first database step by step, then we'll go ahead with the flat file later. So import from database. Okay. See here, you need to create a ODBC data source. Okay. So see, as a default, I have already created two of them, source sample and target sample. I will just walk you through the properties, or else I will just go ahead and create my own source and targets connections. So let me first show you this. It's a source underscore sample. The driver is database, Oracle database. So configure. If you see, you just need to provide these information. your data source name. Okay, whatever the name you would like to put it, you can put it. Then what is the host, then port number, then service name. Okay, these are the things you need to provide. Okay, so let me create a new one. Add, so a drive. See, here you can connect to SQL server also. Okay, data direct 7.1 Oracle wire protocol. This is the one we need to use it to connect to the Oracle database. Say finish. Give the data source name. I will say class underscore source db. Source db. Host is your local host, because on the same machine the database is installed. Port number is default 1521 for Oracle. Service name is ORCL. Okay. Oh, once again same problem. I am not able to press OK. Here you will see press OK button. I think I need to do some setups for the VM. Okay, this is how we create it. For now, just remember this. So I am still going to access this source underscore sample. So come here, sources import from DB. You choose your source sample. Okay, your database username. My database username is SDBU. Okay, then password is SDBU. Then connect. SDBU. The username is SDBU. 1 minute, guys. I think while connecting to the SDBU, it has given one warning saying that the password is going to be expired. So let me change the password. So user is altered. SDBU. See, now it's connected. See, it was giving the error in the SQL developer saying that it's not error, it's a warning basically. The password is going to be expired. So that error Informatica is not able to handle it. So it started giving the problem. It's not about any connectivity problem. It's about the password expiration. So if I want to import multiple tables, you just use your control button, emp dept, then say OK. See this, once you selected the sources, it started giving the sources under your sources folder. So it has imported your tables, whatever you have selected. One is employee, another one is DEPT to the sources folder. Once that is done, save it, Control S. You just need to save it. The same way we will import the target also. So now click on the target. Okay, see here you see some source and target panes. Here is the source and here is the target. You just click on the target, then your target tab will be enabled. Team, 1 minute. So we have already imported the sources. So to see the target, you just need to click on here. Here is the four main windows or tabs which we will be learning about it. So just now we learned about how to connect to the source. Then the same way how to connect to the target. Click on the target. You will see target enabled. So import from database. So here also same thing. Either you go ahead and create new one. So for me, see here you see the black space here, right? So because of I'm not able to access this space, I am seeing some trouble while if the window is bigger. So that's the reason I'm using the existing ones. So let me fix it after the class. I will show you tomorrow once again how to build this source and target connections. So I'm going to use this target sample. The same way here also I see a password expiration problem. Before I use it, let me alter the password. So alter user target schema name is TDBU identified by TDBU. So now the username is the password is changed. Earlier it was giving the warning message saying that the password is about to expire in 3 or 4 days. So here you come here, TDBU, okay, then password is TDBU, then connect it. So it will start showing all the tables under the target database. So here the corresponding tables of employee and DEPT, I will import it. Or else if you don't have it also fine, it is just a demo class. Okay, let me take any of these two tables to show it to you. Just dimension supplier 1, supplier 2, then say okay. In the next class, when we actually start writing the logic, we will import write source structure and target structure, because let's say in the source I have implemented employee DEPT, the table structure is different, the columns and data is different. In the target I chose different tables, so I cannot link it between source and target actually, because it's a wrong data. So for now I just want to show you how to connect to the database in a source and target. I am showing it to you. I have imported the targets, then save it. For saving it, it's normal Control S. So I just pressed Control S. See this, here you will see target dimension inserted. Where it is inserting? So it is inserting into the metadata tables. That is nothing but your class. In the class you have created lot of metadata. When you created your repository services, your Informatica has created all these default database tables. So whenever you do any activity in the designer, let's say importing the sources, importing the targets, then creating the mappings, okay, linking between source and target, all of that is going to be stored as a metadata, stored in the repository metadata tables. That's very important, guys. That's the reason I said you should not touch this schema, you should not touch these tables, you should never ever delete or drop these tables. These tables are meant for your Informatica server maintenance. So just now forget it up. I will show you how to use them in the later classes. So the aim of today's class is two things. One is how to create your repository services and how to create your integration services. Then how to use them in your repository manager, which is your client tool. Then how to open the designer. Okay, I showed you. Then how to open the other tools. Just clicking on that. It's a workflow manager. Here also you will see all these repository information. Then monitor. This is my intention of the demo 2. I think I have covered all of them. So let me open it for question and answers.